over Elliott Sadler.
Elliott Sadler led the first lap at Pocono for the Camping World Truck Series, and now
watch that two truck up on
holding Denny Hamlin off, but very close.
Then he got a little bit loose down there in those bumps, Darrell, in the bottom that allowed Elliott Sadler to drive back around the outside.
That too is just hooked up so well. I think he can run anywhere on the racetrack.
So it's the two of Elliott Sadler out in front, Denny Hamlin running second, Casey Kane is third. Little bobble there for Eric Almirola. He cheats up to the wall as the 33 of Hornaday goes by.
How about Hornaday on the outside in the tunnel turn to make the pass?
Maybe he doesn't realize that you're not supposed to do that here.
What you don't know, you don't know.
What you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Right.
Yet.
He's only got 2 Cup starts here, so it knows it's been a while back.
Across the stripe, it's still Elliott Sadler. He was so good in practice yesterday. He backed it up in qualifying earlier today.
Boy, that 88 truck really made a nice move down this front straightaway. Trying to pick up a couple of spots here, but he's stuck on that bottom, and that's pretty hard to deal with the bumps down there.
Watch that truck go up and down,
bouncing all over the place.
Down Long Pond straightaway. Look at the trees right off of the side. They come at you so fast.
There's James Busher. James has some experience here, I think, in an ARCA Racing Series car.
Boy, they stay in the gas a long time. Phil, did you hear that? It was almost all the way into the corner before he lifted. You try that in a Cup car and you'll be over in
the trees.
Ricky Carmichael looking to the inside of that 31 of James Busher. A battle for second. Here comes Casey Kane once again.
I believe that's the guy that's going to have that Elliott's going to have to deal with. Obviously 18 and Casey Kane, Rick Wren, that whole crowd, they'll be up there putting some pressure on Elliott before this thing gets too far along.
And Casey Kane has never lost when he started a truck race.
Pretty good record.
He's very good. He started 2 races and won both of them. Hornaday working by that 30 of Todd Bodine. Double A, what's happening down on pit road?
I've got a question for our drivers upstairs as Todd Bodine makes the move to the inside of Ron Hornaday. When Casey Kane went to the inside of Denny Hamlin down in turn 1, I heard his spotters say, can't tell. How difficult is it for a spotter at a massive racetrack like this?
Yeah, I mean, at best you're looking through binoculars, and that's pretty defined area you're looking at. So, yeah, the spotter's got his work cut out for him here. This is a huge facility, spread out all over the place. Really hard to see over there.
And this front straightaway is straight. You know, some of the other bigger racetracks like Daytona, Talladega have a tri-oval, so they actually go away from you. Here, you're trying to look down there and trying to judge whether somebody has the other driver cleared, and it's really, really difficult to do.
Look how long that straightaway is, and the trucks have now spread out into a single file line around here. How about the 13 of Johnny Sauter? Now, he missed the drivers meeting, which was held earlier this morning, and so that means he was relegated to the back of the field when he started.
He's made his way up into the 18th position right now. He went down in turn number 1 and ran through the bumps, and his truck bounced up a little bit. That allowed Chris Fontaine, the 84, to get underneath him. Now Timothy Peters, the 17, is trying to get by and does get by the 84 Chris Fontaine.
Yeah, 17's been on pit road, and he's coming back up through the field. Looks like that truck's no damage to it in that initial contact down in turn 1. I think the unknown, so many unknowns about when you haven't raced someone. You're not sure what to set a guy up to make a pass. You're not sure what your truck's going to do when you do get along beside of someone. Am I going to be able to stick? Am I going to hit a bump and it's going to bounce me into him? There's just so many things you're going to have to go through these first maybe 10, 15 laps to figure out how your truck's going to react in race conditions on this track.
Ron Hornaday just in front of Eric Almirola in the 51. Hornaday moves down to the inside of the track, trying not to give a draft here at the racetrack.
That's getting a little edgy right there. Ron wants to be careful. He's going to put a crossover move on Eric right here. He's going to try to anyway, but it's like the 51 truck's a little wee bit better.
Almirola seems as though he's got his hands full in that 51 today.
We had that 33 right up behind him. They're taking a little bit of air off that rear spoiler. He was a little bit free. It looked like coming up off that tunnel turn.
Mike Skinner running a little bit lower in turn number 3. And once again, coming down the long front straightaway, using the draft here at Pocono. The first visit, Elliott Sadler would love to see his name as the first winner in the Camping World Truck Series at Pocono Raceway. We slowed for the first lap, but ever since then, it's been full throttle. Non-stop action with an all-new Stealth Rider and the new original intersections. The action begins Wednesday night at 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
Phil, I believe it. I think right now the unknown to me, the question to me is the 2 running as hard as he can go? Is he just keeping Kasey Kahne in the 18 at bay? But that's going to be the race. When it all comes down to it, those are the 2 guys I think you're going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, the last 3 laps, Darrell, Kasey Kahne has been quicker than Elliott Sadler. Now we can see he's pulled right up to his tailgate here, using that draft to pull up to that 2 truck.
The big question will be, can he pass him? If he can pull up to him, can he get by him?
Well, we know that, you know, these things punch, like we said, a big hole in the air and that big old spoiler on the back. So we know he can suck up to him. But then do you get the arrow push when you try to get around him? But he's working on him right now. Casey's done a really nice job, and he's catching up to him. Looks like Casey's got a little better truck on the long run, Adam.
Darrell, you just hit the nail on the head. He said, I'm loose in turn 1, did Kasey Kahne, but when I get to the 2, I tighten up. It's that arrow push you just referred to.
Mike Skinner getting around the 7 of Justin Lofton.
And a lot of that is created by this setup that they run it. We saw the little bitty front springs you run. The thing is setting down on bump stops. So when the air starts to come off the other truck in front of you, there's really nothing to keep it from lifting the front of the truck up. Everything is meant to hold the front of the truck down, so when you start getting air from the other truck, turbulence wants to lift the front of the truck up, and that's when you push.
And this is the kind of thing that they did not do a whole lot of simulating in practice, was these trucks running nose to tail like this.
Yeah, really couldn't. It just wasn't enough time, and you're working on other things.
Battle for 11th on the right side of your screen. That's Matt Kraft in the 88, Stacy Compton in the 60 truck.
Sure never would have thought. I thought that 88 truck, his teammate, Bo 13, would have been up there near the front the way these guys have been running all year.
A lot bigger gap on the left side of our screen now between Elliott Sadler and Kasey Kahne.
Well, what probably happened is all you got to do is get a little bit loose over the tunnel or coming up off turn 1 over there, and that guy that's in front right there, he will gap you a little bit. But yeah, you can see how quickly the 18 catches back up.
Yeah, that lap, Kasey Kahne was a couple tenths of a second slower than Elliott Sadler, and we saw the gap as they got to the start-finish line. That's how that transferred into that distance.
A big, long racetrack, 2.5 miles all the way around. Let's take a little time and go through our top 10. We start with Adam Alexander.
13 laps into this race, and we're right back where we started, Rick. The man who has been fast all weekend continues to pace the field. Of course, we're talking about pole sitter Elliott Sadler trying to get Kevin Harvick Incorporated their 3rd consecutive win this weekend, and he's been very quiet on the radio, an indication of how good his race truck is. Right behind him, we told you the situation for Kasey Kahne. A little tight when he gains ground on Elliott Sadler. Other than that, he's very happy with that 18 machine. Of course, Kahne trying to stay undefeated today. 2 Truck Series starts in his career, both ended in victory lane. Ray?
Adam, the truck that Denny Hamlin has today has been run 3 times this season. Stephen Wallace drove it at a number of tracks, and every time he was in it, it was very, very loose. But today, Denny Hamlin a bit tight coming off 3, and throughout practice, Cowboy Starlin, the crew chief, tried to free him up across the weekend. Let's hear about Todd Bodine.
Todd Bodine finds himself inside the top 5. He is tight as he runs on the track. And if you look inside his race truck, above the door there is an apology to Moose. So who is Moose? He's the engine tuner. They ran over his foot, breaking a bone here this weekend. They sent him home. He's receiving treatment. We wish Moose get well wishes very soon. Ray?
When you look at trucks on the track, Adam, the number 51 is the winningest truck in the history of the Camping World Truck Series. That's chassis number 11. It's gone to victory lane 12 different times, twice this season for Eric Almirola. And when they bring it to a certain racetrack, Eric always has confidence in that truck. He says he really likes the way it's rolling the tunnel turn, but still a bit tight off of turn number 3. They'll make an air pressure adjustment on the first stop. Adam?
For Ron Hornaday, he's trying to ride a wave of momentum. That first victory of the year coming last week snapped a 22-race winless streak. Horn started 8th here this afternoon, finds himself riding in the 6th position. The only thing he said about his truck to this point, tight off the corner. And in the 3, right behind him, Austin Dillon. He also has been hot of late. The only thing Austin has said on the radio is, I'm getting beat off of turn 2. Expect an adjustment when they make their first pit stop. Ray?
In 8th position, Adam, is number 5, Mike Skinner. He came into this race just 75 points out of 5th in the points race.